This is a rolling after action report of a playthrough of the currently being playtested Flashpoint scenario for Next War Vietnam, which focuses or plays within this very narrow part of the map. And obviously focuses on the defense of Hanoi by, to begin with, some pretty limited Vietnamese pieces, units, with a handful of Americans. There's a small airborne unit under there, confronted by two army groups, the 74th, who are coming in sort of from the northwest, and on this side the 83rd. The game starts with a certain amount of variability. The Vietnamese drew some additional PSDFs, the sort of civil defense force pieces, which initially I'd placed to disrupt some of the Chinese positioning and displace them. I think I displaced some from there. But then you then do a subsequent die roll to generate losses incurred prior to the scenario beginning. This is, by the way, a 4-turn scenario, and the Allies rolled very badly, and I had to reduce 5-step losses. I beg your pardon, and that meant that pretty much all of the PSDF units, those that I drew as a supplementary number to the main force, as well as some of the units that began the game, I decided to take the step losses by removing them. Bit unfortunate. The Chinese also lost a couple of step losses with the 74th, I think. One there. One of the other units is also, and the 83rd Army Group lost, I think, 4 steps or 3 steps, and I tucked them underneath, but within there. So both sides come in slightly weakened. I've got the air units sort of stacked up there, ready to go. There's no naval, so I don't have to worry about that. I've got the kind of display records tracks set up. I'm a pretty novice player at this. I have played with the system, but I've always found the full game just too big for me. I'm really intrigued by the system, really want to get to grips with it. And I have to be honest, this Flashpoint scenario variation is ideal for me in a way to get to and try and get to grips with the systems, which individually aren't complicated. It's just knitting them all together. Anyway, this is just going to be a sort of after-action report after each of the phases, and just to help me track and see how the game goes, but also to perhaps help me embed the rules just by talking through it. Oh, one final thing, you'll just notice these 2 destroyed markers there. I tried to destroy, you get the option to destroy a number of bridges as the Allies, and I managed to destroy these 2 bridges. I failed on 2 further attempts on this side, on the southern side of Hanoi. I decided not to try and blow the bridges on this side. I think I've got the option to do that with the HQs at a later point if I need to. That gives the Chinese 2 victory points to begin the game with. Okay. So first up is the electronic detection phase. We skip the initiative and weather phase on turn 1. The Chinese get 3 attempts to detect a Vietnamese HQs. The Vietnamese or the Allies get 3 for the Vietnamese. That's the base for both sides, plus 1 for every intervening nation. And because the Americans are intervening, that gives them 4. The Chinese managed to identify straight away the one HQ. The Supreme HQs, that Hanoi one, cannot be detected via electronic detection. The Allies went for the 2 Chinese HQs. They detected the first straight up on the first of their 4 rolls, but then failed on the 3 remaining, needing a 4 or better, 4 or less, 4, 3, 2, 1, failed to detect that one. So that's the end of the electronic detection phase. We now move into the first Special Operations Forces phase on an initiative turn only, which this is an initiative turn. The PRC has initiative. The Chinese begin with 4 SOF mission markers, and I am going to go for, on the map itself, a raid against, underneath there is a airbase. It has a attack helicopter located in it, but which may suffer collateral if the raid is successful. I'm going to go for a reconnaissance against the HQ, the Supreme HQ under there. I couldn't detect it with electronic detection, but I'm going to give a go with an SOF mission. Over here on the track here, this one here is on top of the SRB's ballistic missiles. So let's see if we can take those down. And then up here on the air defense track, I'm going after the oh, sorry, I put it on the wrong one. I'm going to put it on the detection there, see if we can knock down their air detection. If they can't find me, they can't shoot me down. So I'm now going to roll up against those on the SOF chart, and I'll come back and give an update on how those attacks have gone. Well, that was a spectacular failure. Not one of the missions succeeded, and when they had to do the SOF survival roll, 2 of them were eliminated. So the PRC Special Operations teams have misfired. Anyway, good news for the Allies, which will bring us now onto the air naval phase, slightly more involved, and I'll be back for some of that in a subsequent clip. We move now on to the air naval phase, which begins with the air superiority sortie step, which is not going to happen in this turn because you have to count the number of air bases or airfields with strike markers remaining on them that are not under repair or that were captured or destroyed in this turn's Special Operations Forces phase. And as we can see, nothing, no strike markers on airfields. So no sortie step, which if there had been, would have forced the Allies to lose some of their planes that have had to lose voluntarily or chosen which to lose themselves, and the Chinese could then also have elected to remove some. But anyway, that's not the case. Then, because the Chinese have AWACS advantage, the Allies have to put up the air units they're going to put into the superiority box. Now, I've chosen to put up as many as I thought sensible. Even, I mean, obviously we've got these ones here to the left, which are purely air-to-air units. But I've also put up some of these powerful F-22s and F-35s, which, even though they are combat support and strike capable, I wanted to put as many, give myself as good a chance of having some opportunity for air intervention and combat support. The Chinese then, with their AWACS advantage, can react accordingly, and they put up to the 6 Allied pieces 11, which is going to allow them to have a 2-to-1 air matchup in all but one of those air fights, and I'm now going to pair those up. The Chinese will get to pair up 3 of the conflicts first, then the Allies, then 3, then 1, and then any that are remaining over for the Chinese they can double up. So I'll be doing that now, and I'll be back when I've made those pairings. So here we are. You can see the matchups. The one notable I would say is that I was very nervous of this F-22. So I thought, look, because it's got standoff or long range as well as standoff. So it's got long range and it's 6. So I thought putting up one of the best Chinese against that risked losing a very good Chinese piece. So I put up one of my weaker J10s. You never know. There's a off chance that the rolls may go my way. And then elsewhere I've sort of paired up some long range against long range. Chinese have advantage in numbers there, and it could be an interesting set of air battles. Again, I'm not going to sit you through the die rolling, but I'll come back once the combat has happened and show you what's remaining. Okay, so that was interesting. So in the end, it was a win for the Chinese. So having gone from an 11-6, they kind of retained the 2-1 advantage, 8 units to 2. That gives them air superiority. If I just come over here to the air superiority box, the 4-1, so more than 3-1 ratio, but less than 5 gives them air superiority and a +1 on the AWACS shift. So their AWACS advantage has moved from the game beginning 3 to 4. In terms of the damage inflicted, well, a couple of damaged and a bunch of aborted Americans, a damaged and aborted Vietnamese, and then again, these are the aborted, one damaged Chinese. But the Vietnamese, whilst it was in the standoff phase, while it was taking damage, it nonetheless managed to down a Chinese J10, which scores 2 victory points. Although the game isn't a victory point based in terms of victory for victory, it does have an impact on initiative. So while the Chinese have their 2 victory points because of the destroyed bridges that the Vietnamese destroyed in the pre-game setup, the downing of that plane, that J10, has leveled up the scores. So that's very interesting. At that point, the full game would move into sort of a naval detection, but we're not playing with the naval. So we can bring the air-naval phase to a close. We now come to the second Special Operations Forces phase. If the Chinese had any in the available box left, they could use them now, alternating with the Allies who have 4 SOF markers, and I put them all out already. By the way, these are used ones come back in the reorganization phase at the end of the turn. They can't be used twice, as it were, in a turn. So, what have I done? I have put this American SOF mission out there on. On that HQ to try and do reconnaissance against that HQ. There is a mission there against the Chinese cruise missiles. You can see it next to it. I'll put it on top now. There's going to be a raid by the Vietnamese against the Chinese detection marker. And where have I put the 4th one? I've lost it. Well, that's not very clever. I've gone for 2 against the cruise missile track. See if I can knock those down, because they could be fairly destructive, and I'd like to remove as many of those as I can. So I'm going to do the rolls against those and the survival rolls for the units and see whether the Allies can have more luck than the Chinese did with their SOF rolls. So at the end of that, the American SOF successfully targeted the cruise missiles and knocked it down by 1 point. The SRV unit that was there didn't add to that. The attempt to detect the HQ failed. The SRV attack against the detection track worked and knocked that down by 1. And good news, all 4 of them came back safely. So certainly a more successful outcome for the Allies than for the Chinese. And at this point, we now move to the really rather weighty and meaty strike phase.